Did you know that reheating certain foods in your microwave could be slowly destroying your brain cells and increasing your cancer risk? Today, I'm revealing 7 common foods that become dangerous when reheated. Foods that can cause memory loss, cognitive decline, and even cancer in people over 65. The third food on this list is sitting in almost every senior's refrigerator right now, and reheating it creates a toxin that directly attacks your brain tissue. Carl, a 73-year-old from Detroit, regularly reheated his leftover chicken dinners for lunch. After 6 months of this routine, Carl began experiencing severe memory problems and confusion. His doctor discovered that improper reheating had caused dangerous bacterial growth, leading to chronic inflammation that was damaging his cognitive function. Food 1. Rice and rice dishes. Why does reheating rice become a memory killer? Rice contains naturally occurring spores of a bacteria called Bacillus cereus, which survives the initial cooking process. When rice is left at room temperature and then reheated, these spores multiply rapidly and produce toxins that directly affect brain function. Harvard Medical School food safety research shows that these bacterial toxins can cross the blood-brain barrier, causing inflammation in brain tissue that leads to memory problems and cognitive decline in seniors. The danger lies not just in the bacteria itself, but in the toxins it produces during the reheating process. When rice sits in your refrigerator for more than a day and is then reheated, the bacterial count can increase by thousands of times. These bacteria release cerulide, a heat-stable toxin that cannot be destroyed by reheating. This toxin specifically targets the mitochondria in brain cells, disrupting energy production and causing the cellular damage that manifests as memory loss and confusion. Diane from Tampa regularly saved her rice dishes from Chinese takeout and reheated them throughout the week. Within 2 months, she noticed significant difficulty remembering appointments and frequently losing her train of thought during conversations. Her neurologist later explained that chronic exposure to bacterial toxins from improperly stored and reheated rice had caused measurable brain inflammation. The most concerning aspect of rice-related toxicity is how gradually the symptoms develop. Many seniors attribute early memory problems to normal aging, not realizing that their food habits are accelerating cognitive decline. Research from the Journal of Food Protection indicates that seniors who regularly reheat rice dishes are 40% more likely to experience rapid cognitive decline compared to those who eat rice fresh. The cumulative effect of these toxins builds over time, making early changes in food habits crucial for protecting brain health. Never reheat rice more than once and refrigerate immediately after cooking. Cook only the amount of rice you plan to eat fresh, and if you must store leftovers, consume them within 24 hours. When reheating rice, ensure it reaches an internal temperature of 165 degrees Fahrenheit throughout, and never leave cooked rice at room temperature for more than 2 hours. Stop reheating rice today. Your brain depends on it. Food 2. Leafy green vegetables. Spinach, kale, arugula. Are you turning healthy greens into brain poison? Leafy green vegetables naturally contain high levels of nitrates, which are harmless when consumed fresh but become dangerous when reheated. Mayo Clinic nutritional toxicology studies show that when nitrate-rich vegetables are reheated, the nitrates convert to nitrites, which then form nitrosamines, compounds that reduce oxygen delivery to the brain and can cause both immediate cognitive symptoms and long-term neurological damage. The conversion process happens rapidly when leafy greens are exposed to heat after being stored. During reheating, beneficial bacteria in the vegetables interact with the nitrates, creating nitrites that are absorbed into your bloodstream. These nitrites bind to hemoglobin, reducing your blood's ability to carry oxygen to your brain. This oxygen deprivation is particularly dangerous for seniors whose cardiovascular systems may already be compromised, making them more susceptible to the cognitive effects of reduced brain oxygen. Vernon, a 71-year-old from Portland, noticed increasing brain fog and difficulty concentrating after he began regularly reheating spinach dishes as part of his healthy eating routine. His doctor discovered that his blood oxygen levels were consistently low, and when Vernon stopped reheating leafy greens, his cognitive symptoms improved dramatically within weeks. The irony of this situation is that many seniors increase their consumption of leafy greens, specifically to improve brain health, not realizing that reheating these vegetables can have the opposite effect. Studies published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition demonstrate that the antioxidants and nutrients that make leafy greens beneficial for brain health are destroyed during reheating, while harmful compounds are simultaneously created. This double negative effect makes reheated leafy greens particularly dangerous for cognitive function. Eat leafy greens fresh or don't reheat them at all. Add fresh greens to soups and stews during the last few minutes of cooking, or enjoy them raw in salads. If you must cook large batches, portion them immediately and freeze unused portions rather than refrigerating and reheating. When cooking greens, use minimal water and avoid overcooking to preserve nutrients while minimizing nitrate concentration. This one change could save your cognitive function. Food. 3. Chicken and poultry, the hidden brain attacker. Is your leftover chicken slowly destroying your memory? Chicken and other poultry contain complex proteins that undergo dangerous chemical changes when reheated multiple times. CDC foodborne illness prevention guidelines emphasize that reheating chicken improperly doesn't just risk bacterial contamination. It actually changes the protein structure in ways that create inflammatory compounds. These compounds trigger chronic inflammation in the brain, leading to the gradual destruction of neurons responsible for memory and cognitive function. When chicken is cooked initially, the proteins denature and become digestible. However, when chicken is cooled and then reheated, especially multiple times, the proteins undergo a process called protein aggregation. This creates misfolded proteins that your immune system recognizes as foreign invaders, triggering an inflammatory response. In seniors, this inflammatory response often becomes chronic, causing ongoing damage to brain tissue. The blood-brain barrier, which normally protects your brain from toxins, becomes compromised by this chronic inflammation, allowing more harmful substances to reach brain cells. Ethel from Miami developed severe brain fog and memory problems after months of reheating chicken dishes multiple times throughout the week. She would cook a large batch of chicken on Sunday and reheat portions daily, sometimes reheating the same chicken 3 or 4 times. Her cognitive symptoms improved significantly once she began eating chicken fresh or reheating it only once. The protein degradation that occurs during repeated reheating creates compounds called advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. These compounds accumulate in brain tissue over time, causing oxidative stress and neuroinflammation. Research from the Alzheimer's Association shows that high levels of AGEs in the brain are associated with accelerated cognitive decline and increased risk of dementia. The cumulative effect of consuming these compounds regularly can cause measurable changes in brain structure and function. Only reheat chicken once and ensure internal temperature reaches 165 degrees Fahrenheit throughout. Use a meat thermometer to verify temperature and never reheat chicken that has been sitting in the refrigerator for more than 3 days. When reheating, add a small amount of water or broth to prevent the chicken from drying out and creating more concentrated protein breakdown products. Your brain can't afford to ignore this warning. Food 4. Mushrooms. Why do reheated mushrooms attack your nervous system? Mushrooms contain unique proteins and enzymes that break down into toxic compounds when reheated. Johns Hopkins mycology research indicates that mushroom proteins are particularly unstable and begin decomposing immediately after cooking. When mushrooms are stored and then reheated, these decomposition products include compounds that are directly toxic to nerve cells, causing both immediate neurological symptoms and long-term damage to the nervous system. The cellular structure of mushrooms makes them particularly susceptible to producing harmful compounds during reheating. Unlike other vegetables, mushrooms have a high water content and unique cell wall composition that breaks down rapidly when exposed to heat cycles. This breakdown releases enzymes that were previously contained within the cell walls, and these enzymes interact with proteins to create neurotoxic compounds. These toxins specifically target the myelin sheaths that protect nerve fibers, causing the communication problems between brain cells that manifest as memory loss and cognitive confusion. Samuel, a 68-year-old from Phoenix, experienced increasing memory loss and difficulty with word recall after regularly reheating mushroom dishes. He had been cooking large batches of mushroom risotto and reheating portions throughout the week. Within a month of stopping this practice and eating mushrooms only fresh, Samuel noticed significant improvement in his cognitive symptoms. The neurotoxic effects of reheated mushrooms are particularly concerning because they can cause both immediate and cumulative damage. Some people experience headaches, dizziness, or confusion within hours of eating reheated mushrooms, while others develop more subtle cognitive decline over time. Studies published in the Journal of Neurochemistry show that repeated exposure to mushroom breakdown products can cause permanent changes in brain chemistry, affecting neurotransmitter production and synaptic function. Eat mushrooms fresh or add them to new dishes without reheating previously cooked mushrooms. When cooking with mushrooms, prepare only the amount you plan to consume immediately, or incorporate leftover mushrooms into fresh preparations like salads or cold dishes. If you must store cooked mushrooms, consume them within 24 hours and never reheat them more than once. Don't let this silent toxin destroy your mind. Food 5. Potatoes. How do reheated potatoes become brain toxins? Potatoes naturally contain high levels of starch and sugars that undergo chemical changes when exposed to repeated heating cycles. American Cancer Society food safety research shows that when potatoes are reheated, especially at high temperatures, these compounds transform into acrylamide, a known carcinogen and neurotoxin. Acrylamide specifically damages nerve cells and has been linked to memory loss, cognitive decline, and increased cancer risk in seniors. The formation of acrylamide occurs through a process called the Maillard reaction, which happens when amino acids and reducing sugars are heated together. In potatoes, this reaction is particularly pronounced because of their high starch content. When potatoes are cooked initially, some acrylamide forms, but when they are cooled and then reheated, especially in microwaves or ovens, the acrylamide concentration increases dramatically. This compound easily crosses the blood-brain barrier and accumulates in brain tissue, where it interferes with neurotransmitter function and causes oxidative damage to brain cells. Joyce from Seattle noticed significant cognitive decline after months of regularly reheating potato dishes. She had been preparing large batches of baked potatoes and reheating them throughout the week for quick meals. Her doctor suggested dietary changes when blood tests revealed elevated markers of neurological inflammation, and Joyce's cognitive symptoms improved markedly after eliminating reheated potatoes from her diet. The danger of acrylamide from reheated potatoes is compounded by its cumulative effects. Unlike some toxins that are quickly eliminated from the body, acrylamide and its metabolites can remain in brain tissue for extended periods, causing ongoing damage. Research from the European Food Safety Authority indicates that regular consumption of acrylamide-containing foods is associated with increased risk of neurological disorders and cognitive decline, particularly in older adults whose detoxification systems may be compromised. Reheat potatoes only once and ensure they reach proper temperature throughout. When reheating, add moisture to prevent browning and acrylamide formation and avoid high-temperature reheating methods like broiling or frying. Consider eating leftover potatoes cold in salads or incorporating them into fresh preparations rather than reheating them. This simple change could protect your brain for years. Food. 6. Fish and seafood. Are you turning brain-healthy fish into brain poison? Fish and seafood are excellent sources of omega-3 fatty acids and proteins that support brain health when consumed fresh. However, National Institute of Health Seafood Safety Guidelines warn that reheating fish creates a perfect storm of toxic compounds. The beneficial omega-3 fatty acids oxidize during reheating, creating harmful aldehydes, while proteins break down into compounds that can cause neuroinflammation and cognitive impairment. When fish is initially cooked, the omega-3 fatty acids remain relatively stable and provide neuroprotective benefits. However, when fish is stored and then reheated, these delicate fatty acids undergo oxidation, creating aldehydes and other toxic compounds that are harmful to brain cells. Additionally, fish naturally contains trace amounts of mercury, and the reheating process can concentrate these metals while simultaneously destroying the selenium and other compounds that normally help protect against mercury toxicity. This combination creates a food that was once brain healthy but becomes neurotoxic when reheated. Walter, a 75-year-old from Boston, experienced severe memory issues and confusion after regularly reheating fish dinners. He had been cooking large salmon fillets and reheating portions throughout the week, thinking he was maintaining a brain-healthy diet. His neurologist discovered elevated levels of oxidative stress markers in his blood, and Walter's cognitive symptoms improved dramatically after he began eating fish only fresh. The protein degradation that occurs in reheated fish creates compounds similar to those found in reheated chicken, but with the added complication of oxidized omega-3 fatty acids. These oxidized fats not only lose their beneficial properties, but actually become harmful to brain cells. Studies published in the Journal of Neuroinflammation show that consuming oxidized omega-3 fatty acids can trigger chronic inflammation in brain tissue, leading to accelerated cognitive decline and increased risk of neurodegenerative diseases. Never reheat fish more than once and consume within 24 hours of cooking. When reheating fish, use low temperatures and add moisture to prevent overcooking and oxidation. Consider using leftover fish in cold preparations like salads or incorporating it into fresh dishes rather than reheating it. Protect your brain. Stop reheating fish now. Food. 7. Eggs. Why do reheated eggs become memory destroyers? Eggs contain high-quality proteins that undergo dangerous structural changes when reheated multiple times. Harvard School of Public Health protein research indicates that the proteins in eggs are particularly sensitive to heat cycling, and when eggs are cooled and then reheated, these proteins form aggregates that trigger inflammatory responses in the body. This inflammation specifically affects brain tissue, causing the cognitive symptoms that many seniors attribute to normal aging. The protein structure in eggs is more complex than in many other foods, containing all essential amino acids in precise ratios. When eggs are reheated, these proteins undergo denaturation and aggregation, creating compounds that your immune system recognizes as foreign. This immune response triggers the release of inflammatory cytokines, which travel to the brain and cause neuroinflammation. In seniors, whose immune systems may already be overactive, This inflammatory response can become chronic, causing ongoing damage to brain cells and contributing to cognitive decline. Gertrude from Denver developed cognitive problems after months of reheating egg dishes. She had been preparing large batches of scrambled eggs and reheating portions throughout the week for quick breakfasts. Her doctor noted elevated inflammatory markers in her blood work, and Gertrude's memory problems improved significantly after she began preparing eggs fresh each morning. The inflammatory compounds created by reheated eggs can cross the blood-brain barrier and directly affect neurons responsible for memory and cognitive function. Research from the American Journal of Alzheimer's Disease shows that chronic neuroinflammation from dietary sources is a significant risk factor for cognitive decline in seniors. The cumulative effect of regularly consuming inflammatory compounds from reheated eggs can cause measurable changes in brain structure and function over time. Cook eggs fresh each time, or eat them cold in salads and other preparations. When preparing eggs, cook only the amount you plan to consume immediately, and avoid storing cooked eggs for later reheating. If you must store prepared eggs, consume them cold within 24 hours rather than reheating them. Your memory is too precious to risk. Act immediately. These 7 foods aren't dangerous when eaten fresh. They become dangerous when reheated improperly. By making these simple changes to your food habits, you're protecting your brain and reducing your cancer risk. The best part is that these changes are easy to implement starting today, and your cognitive health will thank you for it. If you've been reheating any of these foods regularly, leave a comment telling us which one. Your experience could help protect other seniors. Hit that like button if this information was eye-opening, and please share this video with other seniors in your life, because protecting brain health is something we all need to know about. Subscribe for more vital health information that could save your memory and your life.